They say every love story begins with a spark, but mine began with a spotlight that exposed everything I thought was perfect and burned it to ashes right before my eyes. I can still hear the echo of the orchestra, the clinking of champagne glasses, and the way people gasped when my fiancé, Ethan, kissed my aunt under that blinding golden light. For a second, time stopped. The music faded, and the world fell into a silence so loud it drowned my heartbeat. And there they were, his hand on her waist, her red lips pressed against his, both of them standing in the center of our engagement gala. My engagement gala. The whispers started immediately. Isn't that her fiancé? Her aunt? Oh my God. Every murmur cut deeper than any knife could. My father's guests, investors, and reporters turned to stare, unsure whether to look away or capture the moment. Cameras flashed like lightning. My throat tightened, but I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't collapse like the betrayed women in the movies. I just stood there, my glass of wine trembling slightly in my hand, and then, I smiled. Ethan froze when he saw me. His blue eyes widened, his lips still shining with Cassandra's lipstick. Lila. Wait, this isn't. Oh, it isn't what it looks like. My voice was steady, too calm, almost frighteningly so. Because it looks exactly like what it is, Ethan. You just kissed my mother's sister. At our engagement party. Cassandra, my aunt, didn't flinch. She simply adjusted her diamond earring and smirked that same flawless smirk she'd perfected since I was a child. Lila, darling, don't make a scene, she said smoothly, as if she wasn't caught in the act. It was just a moment, an emotional misunderstanding. You know how close Ethan and I have been working on your wedding plans. Things can get emotional. The audacity. My father's jaw tightened across the room. My stepmother turned pale. Guests exchanged horrified looks. But me, I just stared at Cassandra, the woman who once tucked me into bed after my mother died, who said she'd always protect me. Now, she was the one who shattered everything sacred. It was strange, how betrayal can make you see everything so clearly. I realized in that moment that every late night meeting, every whispered phone call, every sudden change in Ethan's mood had been a clue. I'd ignored them because love makes you blind. But clarity can make you dangerous. I turned to the stage, where the band stood awkwardly waiting for someone to break the tension. Slowly, I walked up the steps, my heels echoing like the countdown to judgment. I took the microphone. My reflection in the champagne glass caught the sparkle of the spotlight as I smiled, elegant, composed, lethal. Ladies and gentlemen, I began softly, my voice carrying through the hushed ballroom, thank you for being here tonight to celebrate our engagement. I've learned something very valuable this evening. Something about love, loyalty, and unexpected surprises. My gaze flicked to Ethan and Cassandra. Some surprises, I must say, are truly unforgettable. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Cassandra's expression faltered for the first time. Ethan looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. I raised my glass, toasting the air. To truth, I said, and the word tasted like steel. Because no matter how long it hides, truth always finds its way to the light. The applause was hesitant, awkward claps, forced smiles, but I didn't care. I handed the microphone back to the band leader and walked off stage, my gown sweeping behind me like the tail of a flame. I didn't look back once. Because I didn't need to. My silence, my composure, it terrified them more than any outburst could. When the crowd began to scatter, I slipped out. Through the side doors into the night air. The city lights reflected off my tears. Yes, they finally came, but not from heartbreak. No, these were tears of release. Because I wasn't just walking away from Ethan. I was walking toward the trap I had already begun setting weeks ago. You see, I had suspected something long before tonight. Ethan had changed, too suddenly, too completely. He became secretive, defensive. Then I noticed the financial discrepancies. Large withdrawals from the joint account meant for our wedding. Missing invoices from my father's foundation, where Ethan helped with the event sponsorships. And then there were the hints, my aunt's new designer handbags, her spontaneous, business trips, her laughter when Ethan's name was mentioned. It all started to add up. So, I did what most women wouldn't. I hired a private investigator. Quietly, efficiently, and what he uncovered made my blood run cold. Ethan and Cassandra weren't just lovers. They were thieves. They had been secretly moving funds from my father's foundation into a shell company under Cassandra's name. They used fake invoices, dummy vendors, and even charity events like tonight's gala to disguise the transfers. They'd planned to disappear after the wedding, with millions of stolen dollars. But fate, it seemed, didn't want to wait for them to leave. That public kiss was their arrogance on full display. And in one reckless moment, they handed me the perfect weapon. As I stood under the moonlight outside the ballroom, the night breeze tangled in my hair, I heard his voice behind me. "Lila, wait." Ethan came running after me, his tie loosened, his face pale. "It's not what it looked like, please, you know how manipulative Cassandra can be." "Manipulative?" I turned, arms crossed. "You mean the woman you've been wiring money to for the last 4 months?" He froze. His lips parted, but no words came. I took a step closer, my heels clicking softly. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out? The bank transfers, the fake invoices, the villa registered under her name but paid with your company card. You're bluffing," he stammered. "Am I?" I tilted my head, watching his panic spread like a stain. "You'll find out soon enough. The police already have everything they need." He lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "You can't ruin me, Lila. You love me." For the first time that night, I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that cut through the air. "I did love you," I said. "But the woman who loved you doesn't exist anymore. You killed her the moment you kissed my aunt." I pulled my arm free, leaving him standing there in the parking lot, the city lights glinting off his guilt. He called after me again, but I didn't turn back. I didn't need to see his face. The trap was already closing. That night, I sat by my bedroom window, watching the skyline fade from gold to gray. My phone buzzed, a message from Detective Ruiz, all evidence confirmed. "Ready to proceed when you are." I smiled. "Not yet," I whispered to the empty room. "Let them think they've won first. Because betrayal might break your heart, but patience can break your enemies." I poured myself another glass of wine, raised it to the skyline, and whispered, to clarity. Tomorrow, the headlines would explode. And when they did, Ethan and Cassandra would realize too late that I had been smiling that night not because I was broken, but because my trap had just begun to unfold. When the sun rose the next morning, the world already knew. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, calls, messages, notifications from every news outlet in the city. Engagement gala scandal. Heirs of the Harrington Family Foundation caught in shocking kiss. Bride-to-be watches fiancé kiss her aunt. Photos of Ethan and Cassandra filled every feed, her red lipstick smeared across his face, his eyes wide in shock, and me in the background, calm, poised, smiling like I knew something no one else did. Because I did. While everyone thought I was the humiliated fiancé, I was already the woman pulling the strings behind the scenes. That morning, I slipped into my office at the foundation before the staff arrived. The air was cool, silent, perfect for the kind of morning I'd been waiting for. I sat behind my desk, opened my laptop, and forwarded the encrypted folder Detective Ruiz had sent me to my father and the authorities. Inside were months of bank transfers, falsified documents, emails between Ethan and Cassandra. Their little empire of deceit was about to crumble in daylight. By noon, the chaos had begun. The police had raided Cassandra's penthouse first. According to Ruiz's update, she tried to claim she was being framed, by me, of course, but the evidence was ironclad. Her assistant confessed everything, even provided screenshots of the messages where Cassandra bragged about how she'd finally have both the man and the money. Ethan wasn't far behind. His company stocks plummeted when the scandal broke, and investors started pulling out immediately. The board issued a statement distancing themselves from him, and by 2 p.m., he was suspended pending investigation. And I sat in my living room, legs crossed, sipping tea while the news anchors discussed my name like it was a headline. Lila Harrington remained calm and composed throughout the incident, one reporter said. Sources close to her reveal she's cooperating with authorities. Another anchor added, rumor has it, the bride-to-be had already suspected something. If true, this young woman may be the smartest one in this story. I smiled. Let them talk. Let the world speculate. They'd never know that every move, every word, every calm smile the night before had been deliberate. At around 4 p.m., my doorbell rang. My father stood there, looking tired but proud. You handled it perfectly, he said, stepping inside. You could have let anger drive you, but instead, you let truth destroy them. I nodded. They destroyed themselves, Dad. I just gave them the stage. He sighed, sitting beside me. Cassandra, I never thought she could go this far. Your mother trusted her. We all did. So did I whispered, looking down. But I guess some people mistake kindness for weakness. That night, as the city lights flickered outside, I received a call from Detective Ruiz. It's done, he said. They're both under official investigation. Their accounts are frozen. But there's something else. You might want to see this. He forwarded me a recorded clip, security footage from a hidden camera installed in Cassandra's villa. It showed them arguing the night before the gala. Cassandra's voice dripped with venom. You promised me the foundation's money, Ethan. If this doesn't work, I lose everything. Ethan shouted back, do you think I enjoy kissing you in public? It was supposed to be subtle, now you've exposed us both. I paused the video halfway through. Their greed, their arrogance, it wasn't love between them, it was convenience. Each one using the other to climb higher, until they tripped on their own lies. I sent the clip straight to the press. The world deserved to see who they really were. By the next morning, their reputations were ashes. The footage went viral. Every headline screamed their downfall. Cassandra's, beauty and elegance, became, scheming and deceit. Ethan's, brilliant future, was replaced with, fraud, scandal, and betrayal. They'd gone from the city's golden couple to its cautionary tale in less than 48 hours. Ethan tried calling me, once, twice, dozens of times. I didn't answer. Finally, he sent a message, we need to talk. Please, I can fix this. I didn't reply, but later that day, I saw him waiting outside my office building, his hair disheveled, his once pristine suit wrinkled. Lila, please, he said as I walked past him. You don't understand. Cassandra manipulated me. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I stopped, turning just enough for him to see the calm steel in my eyes. You stole from my family. You lied to my face. And you humiliated me in front of everyone I know. Tell me, Ethan, what part of that wasn't intentional? He swallowed hard, desperation dripping from his words. I was going to fix it. I was going to end it with her after the wedding. You have to believe me. I almost pitied him then, almost. You mean after you had access to my father's trust fund and the foundation's full assets? I said quietly, you really should have read the contract I made you sign before the engagement, Ethan. You see, you were never getting a cent from me. His eyes widened. What? I told you, I said with a faint smile, I've always been one step ahead. I walked away, leaving him standing on the sidewalk, his world collapsing around him. For years, I'd believed love was about trust. But I'd learned something more important. It's also about seeing people clearly before they destroy you. In the days that followed, things unfolded quickly. Cassandra was arrested for embezzlement, Ethan was charged as her accomplice, and the foundation's integrity was publicly restored. My father's name was cleared, and donations began pouring in again. People called me brave, composed, even inspiring. But the truth was simpler. I wasn't brave, I was done being naive. One evening, a few weeks later, I stood in front of the same ballroom where everything had fallen apart. The staff was preparing it again, but this time not for an engagement gala, for a charity event I was organizing myself. The walls were the same, the chandeliers still shimmered, but the energy was different. It felt lighter, freer. My assistant, Jenna, walked up beside me. It's poetic, you know, she said softly. The place where you were betrayed becoming the place where you start over. I smiled. That's the point. Pain only wins if you let it define you. I want this place to mean something better. When the guests arrived that night, I greeted them with genuine warmth. No masks, no pretense, just honesty. The event was dedicated to women who'd been financially exploited or manipulated by their partners, because I knew all too well. As I stood at the podium later that evening, I looked out at the faces in the crowd. A few months ago, I thought my life was over. But what I learned is that betrayal doesn't end you, it reveals you. It shows you who you were when everything else is stripped away. And sometimes, that's when you become unstoppable. Applause filled the hall, thunderous and alive. For the first time in a long while, I felt peace, not the fragile kind that breaks under pressure, but the solid kind that grows from knowing your worth. Later, as the orchestra played softly and laughter floated through the air, I stood by the window where the city lights reflected in my glass. My reflection looked different now, stronger, freer. Somewhere out there, Ethan and Cassandra were facing the consequences of their choices, and I didn't need revenge anymore. I'd already won. Because the sweetest revenge isn't destroying them, it's rebuilding yourself so beautifully that they can never touch you again. And as the night deepened and the music swelled, I whispered to my reflection, "Thank you, for finally choosing yourself." Then I smiled, the same calm, quiet smile I'd worn the night of the gala, but this time, it wasn't a mask. It was freedom.